Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Bavsound Video Installation Guide Series. That's kind of what I'm calling it now. Today, we're in a 2017 BMW X5 covering our Stage One and Ghost subwoofer installation. You can learn all about those products, how we've designed them, how we've engineered them, what our customers think over on our website, bavsound.com. We do the social media thing with the Facebook and Instagram. We do some other ones. YouTube, that's probably where you're watching us. Nevertheless, we're all over the place. You can learn about our amazing products there. But today, we're gonna cover how to actually install them in your car. So, for those of you with this particular car, this is an F15 X5, so it's from 2014 onward. It's 20, give or take 17 now. Same kind of, it's basically the same as an X6. So if you have an X6 or an F16, as it were, not the jet, the car, the process is going to be the same. So give or take, actually give, it's all the same. That's how we do it. So let's get started. And again, as we always talk about, we do our front sound stage first. So we'll do our passenger front door, then we do driver's front door, then we do center channel, and then we do the rear doors, and then we lastly do the speakers in the D pillars if your car is so equipped with the Harman Kardon system. So, and the reason we do that is much like, you know, you don't put one speaker in and then take a listen. It's not going to sound any different because everything that we've engineered was designed and developed to work together as a system. So our Ghost woofers, our Stage One, everything was optimized to perform together. It'd be like putting one shock on the car and going out for a drive and expecting to feel a difference. It's just not going to, it's actually going to feel worse. So, without further ado, let us get started. We're going to do a quick little summary and then we're going to get down to business. So, front doors. There are 7 screws, Torx T20s, holding the panel on. We have one that resides behind the lock plate, one here that resides behind this panel, one on the bottom here, one on the bottom here. There's one underneath this little lock trim piece here, and then there's one behind this trim piece here on the back side of the door. Now, the rear doors, the methodology is the same as the front. However, there are only, I think there are only 4 screws holding the rear door on. I'll double check. But the rear doors do not have a screw underneath the lock tab, and they do not have a rear mounted screw. I can't remember if there's 1 or 2 screws on the rear door on the bottom. That's the only variance, and we'll cover that real quick. But we're just gonna cover the door panel on the front because it's the same as the rear, basically. So, knowing that, let's get down to business. We need 3 tools to make this happen. And conveniently, they're all located in the Bavsound toolkit, which we've put together for you. So we need our plastic panel removal tool. We need our angle pick tool. Put these guys on the floor here so we don't have any shenanigans. And then we need our Torx T20, which is included in our bit set here. And then we need our screwdriver to put the Torx bit in. So we need other tools later, but for this particular process, we only need these. So let's get started. First things first, we're going to remove the lock cover. It's pretty darn straightforward. Almost do it with your finger, but you just come down here, just like that. It pops off. We unplug, revealing a Torx T20 back there as we discussed. Next, we have this panel here, which your car could be wrapped in brown leather. It could be wrapped in carbon fiber. It could be just a plastic material. It could be made out of plutonium. I don't know. But in this case, it's brown, and there's a clear delineation here between the front and rear of the panel. And so to separate them, we just get our plastic tool up in there and just kind of rock it to the side to pop out that first one. And then I like to use my fingers just for more control. And then it just pops right out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Out we go. So put that up here so as not to lose it. We've got 1, 2 screws here, and as I had mentioned, 1 screw here, 1 screw here. And then we've got one up here, which I'm gonna sneak around here and show you guys how to do. So we, up again, plastic panel removal tool. We just kind of get that edge under there like so. And using our fingers, we just kind of rock it out. Just be careful. You're not gonna goof anything up, but and I'm just using my hands, and you can see there's a Torx T20 under there. And then lastly, we have this guy back here, which just like up there, woohoo! He just pops off like that. So the tabs are all up here, so I suggest actually prying from this front lip. So you just go and then lift it out like that. One last Torx T20 is revealed. So in the interest of yours and my sanity, and we're not gonna film me unscrewing these if I have to. So let's pause it here. We're gonna come back as we're taking the door off and get down to rocking and rolling. Cool. All right, guys, so the 7 screws are out of the front doors. 5, in fact, in the rear, as I had suspected. The only difference, again, in the rear, this guy isn't present, nor is this one. So it's just 5 in the rear. So 2 on the bottom, 1, 2, 3. So here is how we start the panel removal process. Plastic panel removal tool. Just kind of get up here in this little area right here, deeper doop, this little boogie down area, and pop off. Sounds kind of weird. A little scary maybe, even. Taking the doors off of your 70, 80, 90, 100, $150,000 truck. So then, come working around down this side. Now I'm just using my fingers from here on out. And as I had mentioned, so back here there's a series of 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. So it's really tight back here. So it might feel like it's stuck. It's not. It's just 4 plastic tabs. You just got to be a little firm, and I just get my hand back there, like so. That's cool. It's just a little plastic tab. And then we just unplug a couple things, which I'll show you here in a moment. They did a really good job with these X5s in terms of like not making you have to unplug 900 harnesses. So here's the door panel, door handle rather. We just undo it like this. And then I like to take my plastic panel removal tool, just come in here and just lift out. And I'll show you how I did that. There's a little tab right here, a little white tab. So it hooks in and then snaps down. So now it's latched into place, and to take it out, I just right out like so. And so our door panel is off. I'm going to place it to the side. We'll reinstall that little clip, and we'll talk about a couple other things. So that accesses our front mid-range driver, which you can see there's a little line here going from the mid-range up to the tweeter. And so ours is done in an identical manner. So we just unplug, actually, I'll just unplug the mid-range. You could leave the tweeter plugged in or unplug it if you want. And then we're just going to remove this front tweeter, and that is where our right angle pick comes into be. So I can just use your fingers for this. Just pull this out up here. And it just comes out like that. A little area to work with. We don't have to take this whole trim piece off. You can if you're insane. I'm not here to judge. And then we just pull off the foam. And then we've got our factory tweeter, which is just in a little housing back here. Let me try and get this turned around for you guys. So you can see the factory tweeter. It just pries right out of that housing. Pretty darn straightforward. This one, it's funny I say that, and then this guy is like being a total bear. One of these things usually fall out. So again, the tweeter just pries right out. It's still plugged into our mid-range driver, at which point the mid-range is secured by 3 more Torx T20s. So we pull this guy out, and then we are done with the removal of the factory components in the front doors. And again, the rears are the same. They're the same in that you may or may not have tweeters. If you have the Harman Kardon system, you'll have tweeters. If you have the Hi-Fi, you will not. But again, with all of this out of the way, we can now grab our Bavsound components, install them in their place, and move across the dash to the center channel and onto the driver's door. Unpackaged everything. We've got our 25mm silk domed machined aluminum housing front tweeters, which are just butter smooth, ready to snap right back into that factory location. We have our inline capacitor harness, which goes between the tweeter and the mid-range, which we'll show those connections here momentarily. So the way I just want you guys doing it, before you even get started, just plug this guy in so that we've got this. No issues. We don't want to forget this. You cannot forget to install this or you will explode your tweeters. So easy enough. Take the tweeter right back into that factory location. We can try and get in and show this, but quite frankly, it snaps right in, just like the factory. Then we have our foam, which goes right back over to this tweeter the way it did the factory tweeter, assuming I can figure that complex process out. Where the heck did that go? There we go. And then, so this is kind of, there's some method to this, I suppose. This has to clip back around, right? And then we got to get in this channel over here, which you can see. It's a little tight, but it does settle right in. There we go. Settles right in. You just have to. Says Jason, as he can't get it to settle right back in. So there's a little channel that slides in right there. There we go. There we go. And then it just, we've got this little tab right here, which goes right back in like so, and our tweeter is installed. Perfect. So again, just want to go through here and make sure that's nice and lined up. What we'll ultimately do is roll the window down, and then if we have to tweak that a little bit. And in fact, in retrospect, it's probably best to just go ahead and roll that window down. Why not? Before you even start this process. Might make it easier for a novice. I know I've done it properly. I know if it's aligned properly, but if you've not done it 1,000 times, it's probably just best to roll the windows down. So yeah, you know, whatever, all good. So we've got this done. Let's kind of take this just to keep things clean back here, wrap it around this factory harness, just kind of the way the factory one was. Get this nice and out of the way. And then we're going to talk about how we apply sound deadening to this area all around where the mid-range driver mounts directly to metal. So what we want to do is we're going to add a dampening layer between one hard surface and then the hard surface, which is our mid-range driver. Even though we've custom tooled a gasket back here, I still like to apply a layer of sound deadening back here to further control that resonance as it goes out into the car. So let's pause it right here. All right, guys, so we've taken our sound deadening material. If you didn't get the sound deadening material, maybe pause and give us a call and let us get some out to you. It's really something you want to do. So again, it comes in a roll. Actually, not a roll, we fold up in a really cool box. I'm going to cut off about an 8-inch piece, and then we're going to take it like this, and we're just going to apply it directly to the car. As you can see, I have no hair, so I don't have a hair dryer here. I do have a heat gun, but I think it's at my house. I don't think it's here. So what you're ordinarily going to want to do, cut this piece in half, and you'll take it, pull the backing off, and you'll put it down on the floor on your workspace and heat this up and get it nice and tacky. We want it really sticky. It's already pretty sticky, but we want it super tacky. Then we come and we apply it directly to the car, like so. Now keep in mind, this is aluminum, so it can be sharp on these edges. So when we're applying it, I usually take, out of our kit, I take the metal panel removal tool, because it's got a nice big plastic kind of handle like this, and I do this. You can kind of see I roll the edges down like this, and then you can see it just fits every contour of the car. It's just perfect. See? So then, it does get a little tricky over here, and this is why we're covering this in a video. So we got a couple holes here, you know, we're gonna run the factory screws back through them. So we'll kind of pierce those holes before we do it. Yeah, it's totally fine to have this on the weather seal. It just adds more density, which is great for us. And then we come through here. Hey, look at that. It's kind of already... Usually have to do that with a knife. So I brought my blade over, which we just kind of come through like that. And come through, and then we just cut up. If your window's down, be careful of your window when you're doing that, obviously. This stuff's kind of yucky. I'm saying yucky because I have a 3-year-old, I'm sorry. how I talk now. Fold that back under. So, and then just for good measure, go back around one more time down through here. I split that. It's okay. We just want to control that resonance off the speaker. And now we kind of need to mark generally where the holes for the speaker are, which we know are right here. You can kind of see the little thing in the back here. So we just have to line the speaker up again. Got one right here. You can feel it right there. And then we've got one down here. Right there. This is always a little tricky, but nevertheless, we're just screwing the speaker down. So everything's ready to go with our mid. We've installed our foam ring on the front. This is mission critical to do this. We want a nice seal when the door panel goes back on. So you're going to do this yourself. So we've done everything else for most of you, but you guys are going to have to put this foam ring on, which they're included in your kit. So at this point, we simply take our speaker and we orient it like so. And really, quite frankly, we just kind of have to find that hole. There's one. So we just grab our, we kind of get things started. Don't screw it down all the way because we've got to find those other ones now, lest you forget. You know, we just kind of have to eyeball it. And you say, where the hell is it? And you feel around and you go, oh, it's actually way up there. Look at that, it was way out. Huh. Pretty darn far off, as you can see. All right, and this guy down here goes right in. So then we kind of go back around, cinch everything up, like so, like so, and like so. And we then plug in the mid-range driver to the connector, like so. Plug in our tweeter, like so. And we are good to go. Obviously you just want this out of the way, so we'll take this guy, kind of tuck it again. Sometimes, I can't remember, it depends on the kit. I think I've been futzing with this one. There we go. You'll just take this, you can wrap it again around this factory harness, keep everything kind of out of the way. Nice and smooth, nice and clean, then we just plug in the factory stuff like it was. We want to make sure this is free and clear, that there's nothing impeding the speaker. Now, here's where a lot of you will get in the car, turn on the stereo, listen to this speaker, fade to the balance to the left, listen to that speaker, go, hey, it sounds. As we talked about earlier, it all works together. And in fact, installing one speaker and trying to listen, or A/B, is going to sound worse than if you installed no speakers. So all we're doing is we're going to turn the car on, we're doing a quick test. Do we hear sound coming from the mid-range? Do we hear sound coming from the tweeter? If the answer is yes, and the answer will be yes, we put the door back on. We're ready to go, then we work our way around center channel, driver's door, rear doors, rear hatch. If there is no sound, check your connections, first of all. How many beers have you had? If you're in California or Colorado or Washington, how much have you smoked? And then let's reassess. You can call us. We can help you through any means necessary to get through the process. But by and large, we're just confirming operation. Then we reinstall the door. So that covers the actual installation of the mid-range and the tweeter. And again, the process is the same in the rear door. The tweeter is a little different in the rear door, but again, it just snaps right in, and then we plug it right in with the respective adapters. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to pause right here. We're going to go get the door panel. I'm going to have some water, and we'll come back and reinstall the door panel.
2, 1.
Here we are, almost done. It's been a fun process. It's actually only taken about 10 minutes. So we covered earlier, one of the little clips had fallen out. This may or may not happen with you. If it does, it's just a little Christmas tree. It just slots right back in here. You can see. So, super easy. Now we reconnect the door panel just as we had done before. So we take our clip here, we plug it back in as we had gone over before, snap it in, track it in its little things here, plug in our windows, plug in all the other components here. Cool. Don't forget to do this guy up through here. And then here's what's kind of tricky about this. You got to line up. So there's a little tab up here. So you just line it up. It slots in there. So you really want to hook the top first. So we get that guy slotted in there. And then we take the top of the door and we just do this. So we've lined up the top of the door. And then the trick is as follows. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to show you guys this. When I think about it. You won't have to do this, but I'm going to do it just to show you. So now the trick is making sure all the other tabs are aligned. So my little trick is kind of a slight little uplift, and you'll feel all the tabs kind of settle in. Just using your hand. Voila! I want you guys to see how absolutely perfectly this seals up. You can see the foam gasket holding a nice airtight seal, keeping all of the driver's energy focused forward. Nothing's getting lost back in the door panel. It is absolute perfection, and that is how we roll here at Bavsound. It's completely and totally over-engineered, but you can't overlook these little things because they make all the difference. So that is how we install our door panel. And then we just reinstall the screws. Nothing exciting. There's no tricky business. No further thought necessarily given to this. So the process is repeated again on the driver's door. We'll do our center channel next. So we're going to wrap this up. We're not going to show you putting screws back in. It's not super exciting. Then we'll hit the rear doors. Then we'll hit the rear hatch. And then we will wrap this up.
Cool.
So again,
all right, guys, we are here working our way across the front soundstage now at our center channel location. And we're in a hi-fi car here. So here is how we make this happen. It's the same in the HK cars, but just a little bit different coloration, materials, etc. So pop this guy out. Plastic panel removal tool, front edge, kind of work, work, work. This side, work, work, work. Then we kind of come back around. We're just going to work around this outer edge, like so. There's just plastic, little kind of plastic fork tool attachments back here, and I'll show you in just a minute. Just going to be patient. Have a beer before you do this. That's what I'd recommend. Only if you've only had one or two thus far. I don't really recommend more than a 6-pack on any given location in the car. I'm just kidding. All right, so the grill's largely free. At this point, we want to work with our fingers. So we just come up, bop, bop, bop. Out it comes, revealing a factory speaker that, believe it or not, this was black when it rolled off of the factory. It looked just like the door speaker. In fact, this car has just maybe 400 or 500 miles on it. It's already gray, and there's already damage to the speaker caused by the sun glaring down on it. So our drivers are treated, not only are they not paper, they're a fiberglass woven cone, they're also treated with a UV resistant coating to prevent sun damage and any sort of degradation of the cone or the surround for that matter. You can see we're using an inverted surround here to further project the mid-range frequencies in a more non-localized fashion. So again, this is just a design cue we've taken to protect the speaker and to let it last longer than your BMW. So in the hi-fi cars, we've just got a mid-range here, 1, 2, 3 screws, remove that, out comes the mid-range, and in goes the Bavsound driver. It plugs right into the factory plugs. We're done. It's that straightforward. So I'm not going to go over the rest of this. It's pretty darn straightforward. At this point, we're going to move, kind of take a quick look at the back doors, quick chat about them. We're going to head to the hatch, knock out the D-pillars, wrap up this stage one, and get rocking and rolling. Just wanted to touch on the rear doors before we made our way to the hatch for those of you with the HK system. If you've got the hi-fi system, we're stopping on the rear doors, and then we'll go do the tuning and have the fun up front. So, as we talked about earlier, it's exactly the same as the front doors. Pop off, 1, 2. But remember, no screw under the lock mechanism here, and no screw back here. So on these rear doors, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, and then just like the front, the mid-range installs the same way, the sound deadening installs the same way. If you've got another tweeter, it installs exactly the same as the factory tweeter, which is right here. That's it. Super straightforward. I just wanted to touch on that before we moved on. So let's, for those of you with a hi-fi, up to the front to tune, to talk about settings and such. Those of you with HK, let's go to the back. All right, guys and gals, here we are, rear of the X5. So this is a hi-fi car. Probably wondering what the hell I'm doing back here because there are no speakers. You're correct. But because we're filming today, we have to account for the Harman Kardon vehicles, which do have speakers back here on both sides. Same thing goes for the X6. So instead of just a solid grill here, you'll have a speaker grill with speakers playing through the grill. So the methodology, however, is the same with regards to getting the panel off. So we're going to cover that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the rest of it. So again, plastic panel tool. You can see up here, we've got to get this panel off. So I come up here like this. Whew, now, this panel is sharp. As you can see, I just kind of sliced my hand open. So be careful, yeah? What do you think? Be careful. It's just unfinished plastic, that's all. And once I get it all the way out of here, you'll see what I'm doing here. So, you can see, there's just a few little tabs. 1, 2, 3, and this fourth one actually kind of stayed up here, so we'll get it out of there. We might actually need our metal tool to do this. I don't know if it's going to come out. It probably won't come out with this, so we'll need to get our metal panel removal tool. And so if you've got the HK system, you can see there's 1, 2, 3 holes here, and the speaker mounts right here. So that's how it actually fits into the car. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, and there'll be some wires. We unplug it. And then our speakers will be a direct replacement. So you'll get the pod, the housing out, remove the factory speakers, and then reinstall our speakers into the pod using the factory screws. Everything will plug right in. It'll play. It'll be super straightforward. We just wanted to show you how to get this panel off and then ultimately how to put it back on as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call for a little off-camera assistance from one of our guys, John Forrest. John Forrest, perhaps I could borrow you for a moment? João Foresto, perhaps? John Forrest. Yes. You guys may have spoken to João on the phone. Could you grab the metal panel removal tool from the toolkit? Thank you much. What's going on? Good day. João. All right, guys. So, metal panel removal tool. We got to get this guy out of here because it is stuck. So we just go, and you can see the metal tool pops it right out. We just reinstall it like so. Now, when we reinstall it, you see there's a little tab here that slots up under the headliner. So when we're reinstalling things, what we do is we just pull the headliner out a little bit, get it keyed like so, get everything right back in line, and then just snap it right in. I'm going to experiment with some stuff while I'm back here, but I just wanted to show you guys how to do that. So it couldn't be more straightforward. Bam, we've got brand new speakers. Repeat the process on the passenger side. The same thing goes for the X6. The shape is a little different in the X6 because it's a sharper slope, but the methodology remains the same. So we'll pause it here and head back up to the front of the car because, hey, we have completed our stage one, and we're going to talk a little bit about tuning, source material, etc. So let's pause it here and head back up front. All right, guys, so we've wrapped up our stage one and Ghost subwoofer upgrades in our X5, and this is a hi-fi car. So this is applicable to the X6 as well, as we've discussed. So we want to talk a little bit about settings and source material for that matter. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down into our menu. We're going to go into settings. We're going to go into tone. This looks good. We flatten out our bass and treble. You may make some changes to this after the speakers have broken in. So 12, 15 hours later of listening time, not just time that passes, but of the speakers actually playing, speakers and subwoofers, they break in over time. So the glues settle in, the surrounds settle in, the material gets used to movement because it's been sitting. It's never really moved except for when we tested it. So speakers warm up. So over time, you may make some subtle changes here to the treble and the bass. But we want to start off with flat. We want fader and balance in the middle. We go into the volume settings. We go to speed volume. We make sure it's turned all the way down. You can also go in here and turn off that. Geez, if you can tolerate that, turn that park distance control down. I turn it all down, all the way. So let me go back. Okay, and we go back. And now we talk a little bit about our source material. So in your console, you've got your USB and your aux input. So if you're an iPhone user, we're running straight out of the iPhone through a lightning cable into the USB. We've got a beautiful connection. We go through our iTunes menu settings. We set the EQ to flat, and we rock and roll. If you're using Spotify or Spotify Premium, again, go into your EQ of your respective music apps and set the EQs to flat, because we don't want to process a signal before it goes into the preamp, is processed again, and then goes to the amplifier. We want everything flat coming in, and if we make any adjustments, it's just going to be subtly through the bass and the treble. And for those of you with the HK cars, we've got an entire equalizer that we would adjust. So we've got, I don't remember if it's 10, I think it's 10 bands, it's 8 or 10 bands of equalization, and it also has a surround sound in case you want to turn that off, because it really corrupts the front sound stage, but everything else will hold still. So if you're an Android user, we're coming out of the headphone jack and then subsequently through the aux input here on the car as well. So that is one of those situations where we want to take the Android platform, we want to set the volume output on the phone to the middle up to maybe 3/4 volume, and then we want the rest of the volume to come from the preamp side of things, which is our volume on the stereo in the car. So, and those of you with an Android phone may even want to consider an external DAC, a digital analog converter, to clean up that signal even more. You can actually power them in the glove box. Audio Quest makes a cool little piece. It's called the Dragonfly. There's some cool DACs out there for you Android guys. The iPhone users, we've already got a solid little DAC in our phone, so we're good. And that really kind of wraps up the tuning. It's pretty darn straightforward. Again, as time goes on, meaning 12, 15 hours, you may find you want these tweeters a little livelier for those of you that are older, because we lose upper end hearing as we age. And for those of you in your 20s, 30s, if you've got one of these trucks in your 20s or 30s, job well done. You might want the treble a little flatter. And bass, again, this is we really want it here in the middle. This is where we're optimized for not only performance, but overall volume. Because as the volume goes up, the distortion just organically increases. So we don't want this jacked up here just so as the volume is super loud, we're going blah, blah, blah. You know, we want everything. Again, this is how everything is engineered, flat. And this is personal preference. You may even find on certain tracks that you end up doing this. Just because our woofers are hyper efficient, and we've extracted everything we can from this factory amplifier. So keep your ears open, always listen for distortion, have fun, and most importantly, rock on. And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for being a part of the Bavsound family.